Big changes to federal food assistance may be coming as Republicans push forward with a major budget bill.
Under what President Trump calls his, quote, big, beautiful bill, federal funding for SNAP benefits would be cut by nearly $300 billion.
WMTV's Nicole Herzog joins us now with how this could impact people who use food pantries right here in Wisconsin.
With thousands of Wisconsinites relying on SNAP benefits, Feeding Wisconsin's executive director tells me potential changes to the program could make it extremely difficult to support people in need. Another busy afternoon at Second Harvest Food Bank.
Our food banks are seeing an increase of about 30 to 45% of neighbors who are now coming 2 or 3 times to the food pantries.
Packing up food to go to hundreds across south central Wisconsin.
Rent is going up. We know electricity is going up. We all know that groceries are incredibly expensive right now.
Many who receive those packages also rely on SNAP benefits, a government program which gives people a card with money to spend on food. By using SNAP, Feeding Wisconsin's executive director says people can get by with going to a food pantry on a limited basis. Without it, local pantries already seeing record demand would be stretched thin.
Any potential cuts happen to SNAP, then our food banks and our food pantries are then going to be in the position to have to support our neighbors in ways that are becoming harder and harder.
The legislation also proposes requiring states to pay for a portion of the benefit costs. Andrew Stevens, an expert in food policy at UW-Madison, says this is unprecedented.
It has existed for a long time, and the federal government has always provided all of the resources for the benefits. And so to change that is a generational change in how this program works.
The bill also proposes extending work limits, meaning older adults would be required to work to receive benefits. Aside from addressing hunger, experts say SNAP benefits impact the economy as a whole.
One SNAP benefit usually equates to about up to $1.80 for funding that goes back into our communities. So if that's cut, then we're going to have a ripple effect throughout all of our different Wisconsin communities.
Stevens says about 15% of Wisconsin households used SNAP benefits in 2024, and it's estimated that if the legislation goes forward without any changes, it could cost the state about $300 million a year. For now, live in studio, Nicole Herzog, WMTV 15 News.
Nicole, thank you. Feeding Wisconsin says donations are especially helpful right now so they can keep pace with demand. If you can learn more about where to donate on our website, WMTV15news.com.